Welcome to Vikinglia. Today I will tell you a story about the Lord of the Burial Mound, the Haugbuin. You won't hear well-known Norse mythological stories. Our heroes are not Freya, Thor, or Loki, but common mortal Norsemen. Our channel offers the unique experience to recount stories coming right from the manuscripts of all Norse sagas. Though it may seem strange, in the Old Norse sagas, life did not end with death and burial. The Vikings and their dead maintained very close connections with each other, so the boundaries between life and death were traversable. The dead took part in the affairs of the living in various ways, as when they were summoned to give advice or blessings, or even receive requests for things with which they had been buried. The term used to refer to the living dead in the burial mounds was Haugbuin, a compound of Haug, hoe or mound, and bui, to dwell, so literally mound dweller. A Haugbuin did not come into contact with the living unless it was disturbed. In fact, this wasn't even an unusual occurrence. Imagine that the burial chambers in the mounds were richly furnished, like a room of a house. The corpse was not always lying on the ground, but was seated on a chair, like it was alive. Also, where the dead had been a high-ranking individual, great values were placed alongside the body. No wonder that the mounds were tempting targets for grave robbers. Now let's see that one who dared enter such a tomb might expect to find. In the 18th chapter of the Grettis saga, the hero, Grettir, precisely in the course of searching for treasure, encounters a Haugbuin. There was a man named Ödun who lived in a place called Vindheim. Grettir went there daily and befriended with him so much that he usually sat there and talked to him all day long. It was one late evening when Grettir was getting ready to go home that he saw a great fire bursting out on the headland that was further down from Ödun's farm. Grettir asked what it was, as he never seen it before. Ödun said it's better that he wouldn't know. It would be sad if such a thing was seen on our land, that there would be burning above a treasure, said Grettir. The farmer answered, "There is no use of being curious who is controlling that fire." "Yet I wanna know," announced Grettir. "There is a mound there on the headland," began Ödun. "Old Kar, Thorfinn's father, was laid in there. Father and son first owned but one farm on the island, but since Kar died, he has started to walk again, and he has drove away all the farmers who owned land here. Now Thorfinn alone owns the whole island, so nobody will be harmed while Thorfinn holds his hand over it. I will come here tomorrow, and you shall make digging tools ready," said Grettir. "I let you to handle that," said Ödun, "for I know that Thorfinn will be hostile to you." Grettir said he could live with it. The night passed. Early in the morning, Grettir arrived at the farm where the tools he required for digging has been already prepared for him. Ödun, the farmer, took him to the burial mound. Grettir began to dig, working hard until he finally reached the wooden lid of the burial chamber. By this time it was late afternoon. Grettir set to work taking the beams apart. Ödun tried one more time to dissuade him from entering the tomb, but Grettir, unheeding, ordered him to mind the rope while he peered in to see who lived below. Grettir then lowered himself into the interior of the mound. Inside was dark, and the smell of rot filled the air. Grettir attempted to size up the space so that he might understand what was where. First he found bones belonging to horses, then bumped into the carved back of a chair. He found that there was a man sitting on it, with much gold and silver piled about. The man's leg rested on a chest that was filled with silver. Grettir gathered up the treasure and carried it back to the rope. As he began to climb out of the grave, something all at once grabbed his foot and held it fast. He let go of the treasure and turned toward the attacker, and the two entered in the ruthless battle. The Høgbuin fought furiously. Though at first Grettir did not take him seriously, soon he realized that he would have to apply his full strength to the battle. All that crossed their paths flew hither and thither. For a long time neither could defeat the other. Finally, they reached the place of the horses' bones. There again they fought for a while, first the one, then the other falling to his knees, until at last the Høgbuin with a great noise fell upon its back. Hearing this, Øyunn fled from the rope, believing that Grettir had been killed. Grettir promptly unsheathed his sword and cut the Høgbuin's neck so that its head was completely rendered separate from the body. He placed the head between the corpse's thighs, then went to the rope, where he tied the treasure to it. As Øyunn was all gone, he was forced to climb out without any aid. Then he pulled up his treasure trove after him and set off. A similar story is found in chapter 4 of the saga of Hromundur, who learns of great treasures hidden in the burial mound of a sorcerer king, coins, weapons, and a miraculous sword called mistletoe. Hromundur penetrates the tomb and finds himself eye to eye with the living corpse of the king. Following a lengthy battle, Hromundur defeats the king, cuts off his head, and burns his body in order to procure the treasure. In such stories, the Høgbuin attacks the intruders in defense of its own property, fighting with both extraordinary strength and considerable agility. The Høgbuin can be defeated only if it falls on its back and its head is removed. Thus, the Høgbuin, though dead, protected their valuables in the manner of living warriors, and from the stories left to us, appear to have retained not only their strength, but also their physical bodies. In our next video, we will tell you how a Viking warrior woman obtained the sword of her father from the depths of the tomb. Thanks for watching.